Welcome everyone to Talking Textiles. I'm Kyle Van Dam, member of the Marine Fabricators Association, and I'm your host for today's discussion. Thank you everyone listening in on today's episode. The goal of this podcast is to get to know the wide variety of positions and markets that make the advanced textiles world turn. We will be talking to professionals in different roles throughout this series to help inspire the next generation of textile professionals and anyone interested in learning about their journeys in the world of textiles. ATA offers advanced textiles content throughout the year, including the upcoming Marine Regional Workshops held in Washington State and Chicago. Visit textiles.org/events to learn more. Today's episode is sure to be a fun and lively conversation where we interview Charlene and Chandler Clark of Signature Canvas Makers, a full-service marine canvas shop. Welcome to the podcast. Tell me about the company's history and how you guys first became involved, in the industry and with your company.
So Chandler was in the Navy, getting ready to retire, and decided that he needed a job after post-military. And really wanted something that, really enjoyed the outdoors. We were sailors and thought that, canvas industry would be an interesting path for him, that would get him outdoors and help him kind of follow his passion, a passion of ours. He had worked for a sail loft when he was stationed in New Orleans, his last duty station. So it kind of gave him a bug for the industry. And when he retired, we moved back to Virginia here, and he spent about a year and a half as a contractor working for another canvas shop. And then finally in 2008, we actually opened our own shop under our own name. Did you want to add anything?
No, it was actually kind of intentional to work for the sail loft to learn the trade. Learned a lot working as a contractor for Joe Bostic at Canvas and Cushions, and grateful for that. That's where we are.
Tell me, guys, thinking kind of throughout your business career there, what are some of the accomplishments or kind of big hurdles you guys have overcome that you guys are kind of most proud of and that stand out in your mind for you?
When we started our business, when we opened our own shop in 2008, we had no idea what we were doing. I had come from a corporate background. I spent 23 years in hospitality, sales and marketing, working in corporate America. And, we really didn't know what we didn't know. We started this business, and the one thing we did know was that failure was not an option. But really, understanding all the inner workings of running a business and owning a business, we learned a lot by making a lot of mistakes, quite honestly. But every time we made those mistakes, we learned and we grew from them, both personally and professionally. So I think that's really been one of the things that we've been most proud of. It's now 15. We just passed 15 years that we've had our shop. And, statistically, small businesses, only about 5% of small businesses make it this far. So, it's something that we're really proud of, that we've worked so hard and have, been able to go through the ups and downs of, the environment and, global pandemics and things of that, a global pandemic and things of that nature, but still have been able to build a strong team and build a strong business that continues to grow and evolve.
Yeah, no, I hear you absolutely. Tell me a little bit. This is kind of an off the cuff question, a little bit, just because something led me into it. But tell me a little bit how, as you guys grew, these last 15 years, obviously, have you been in the same shop facility? Have you increased employees or decreased employees at some point? Because I know we all go up and down with that. But how has that sort of gone, that flow for the 15 years you guys have been in business?
So we are in our third location right now. We started out renting a small space and bought our first building in 2011. Which was obviously bigger than the space we were renting. And now we're in our third location and finding that we're somewhat ready to outgrow this, in the process of outgrowing this place as well. We've tried to grow smartly. We've tried to, the business, there's certainly been plenty of business opportunity. But, we wanted to make sure that we didn't overcommit ourselves, and really put undue strain on the business and on us. We wanted to make sure that when we did that and when we grew, we were doing it smartly, and we were doing it when it was right. We have grown our team, ups and downs, certainly in terms of, retention. But our team is growing. We foresee that continuing to happen, not too many more, but we're at 12 right now. We will probably in the next few years be adding, additional team members there. But yeah, it's just, it's been quite an evolution. Like I said, we're continuing to learn. We've just embarked on down the path of EOS, the entrepreneurial operating system, instituting that into our business, which has really given us a different level of clarity and focus, and really, giving us this alignment and structure, that now, as far as we've been able to get the business, this is now a process that's going to take us to the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's kind of just cool to over like a 15-year period see how much you guys have grown really. And it just sounds like a lot of the stuff that we deal with at our shop, where we built our new shop 5 years ago, and I think we almost have 10,000 square feet here, and we feel like we're almost out of room. But I know up by us in Wisconsin, we are kind of we're not as much seasonal as we used to be. We're kind of being more year round and everything now. But how about down by you guys? I know, is it as much seasonal, or are you pretty much busy year round? Do you have a busy season and a little bit of a sort of a slower season at all, or anything like that?
We used to. When we started the business 15 years ago, we were really 100% recreational boat canvas. And obviously there's seasonality to that in and of itself. But we really very quickly realized that we needed to combat that seasonality. And so we really started to branch out into other markets. Now we're very heavily in with government and military. We do an awful lot with commercial work. We work with Busch Gardens theme park. We do all the ride seats, the headrests, and the restraint belts for the park. So there's that seasonality has become pretty much non-existent, because of just that expansiveness in our market segmentation.
Well, the military has added to that. We've also do more work for dealers. We still do a lot of recreational custom canvas, but we do a lot of more dealers now, dealers in yards now, and that has led to a more consistent flow of customers. And there was a point earlier where trying to talk about expanding smartly, and that has what she meant by that was we learned the hard way to manage that expansion, and this is part of that, doing the dealerships and diversifying our products a little bit.
Yeah, I think a lot of us folks in business, especially in this industry, but in all, I'm sure too, there's some things we definitely all learn the hard way. So that's not that's something you hear everybody say, it seems like. Let me touch a little bit more on that, in like your retaining employees, employee management. What seems to work for you guys the best for something like that?
Wow. If you crack the code on that, please let me know.
That's the $1 million question, right?
I think what we have found and what's been working for us, people want to know where they stand. We have started to, really give people goals, and help them to understand what their role is in the success of our business. and really try to help them grow as individuals. We want them to succeed. We want this to be more than a job. We want to show them that there is a career path here, that there's opportunity for them to grow and learn. And I think the other part of that too is that we've also recognized over the years that people learn very differently. We have manuals and written processes that, pages and pages and booklets of written processes. But what we found was that, that only works for some people. Some people are very visual and need to learn very visually. Some people want to see a video. Some people want pictures. Some people need, that a sample of something that they can hold in their hands and be able to analyze and evaluate. So we've really kind of tried to adapt how we train, how we evolve people, how we track. Everyone gets proficiency rates when they're training. They have to meet a minimum proficiency rating, and then once they've reached their proficiency ratings, we track their ongoing efficiencies to make sure that they're not only maintaining that level, but exceeding it and growing within it and providing the training that goes along with that so that they can succeed. Because we do base their pay increases are based on their proficiency and efficiency rates, as well as, ongoing reward programs of things that we'll, throw out there during different times and reward people for exceeding our expectations.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a cool thing to have in this industry where a lot of people don't have that. I think where you have some sort of like tangible goal that like, hey, if I can hit this level, that's the next step up for me as far as, pay or title or both, or whatever it might be within this company. Because I think a lot of some of the issues we really face in this industry is that we're not like these big businesses that just have this very easy structure of how you're here for this long, you move up, or if you can do this, you move up. It's just we're very unlike any other thing out there. I know for our shop, one thing that we try to do big time too is we can't offer these people these huge 401ks and all kinds of benefits that the big businesses do. So we try to be more flexible with hours. If there's folks that have families or kids, hey, if you want to leave early this day, work a couple more hours, days before, and try to kind of keep it just a very family feel. So, we offer some things that big businesses can't.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's we're a unique niche industry that we just have to kind of do what we can, sort of, I guess. So that's always interesting.
And it's important because of that too. That's a really great point, because because of that, we don't have retaining our employees is even more critical, because we lose one person. And if you're a shop that has 5 employees or 4 employees and you lose one, that's a huge chunk of your production. That could potentially slow and or stop production in some instances. So it really is, employee retention is so critical for our industry and for our business.
Yeah, I remember the year that we built our new shop, like the end of 2018. Mostly we were moving in 2019, like right after Christmas. Me and my dad are in here between Christmas and New Year's until midnight building tables and trying to get the whole shop built out, ready to go for when we get busy. And right in like a month or two later, right when we moved in here, that first spring, one of our main sewer, our lead sewer, had just a weird freak accident, and she's a little older, towards retirement age. This might probably be her last year with us, I'm thinking, before she retires now. But back then, she had just caught her foot on a hot knife cord that was plugged in and hanging on a little nail right by her sewing machine. I don't know how she did it, but she caught it and fell back and just kind of didn't fall hard, but fell hard enough where she was out of work for like 2 months, just
Wow.
because she had some lingering kind of weird issues, and that her doctor kind of recommended that she stay out of work for a while. So
Right.
that was a difficult year for us. We just built our new shop, trying to slowly build all the different areas within our shop that we needed to have. and all the tables and whatnot, and then losing an employee. We are a shop of only about 6 people. So, that when you said that, like just hit a light bulb in my head, just like, oh, yep. Well, tell me about some of the, biggest struggles you guys are facing within your business, or even, personally, that kind of get tied to business. Just because business and personal lives, when you have a small business, seem to there is no separation there. Almost, it seems like, or it's hard to have that, anyways.
Yeah, I think maintaining, I think we share the same struggles as everybody, cash flow, managing our schedule, keeping employees engaged, retaining those employees. I mean, it's, this, our industry is so, fluctuates so much, and we're just really trying to stay focused on, defining the issues and really focusing on the core things, the core issues in our business, and what we need to do to overcome those and what we need to do to fix them. And I think that's one of the things that we're learning really with with EOS is differentiating between what's an issue and what's a to-do, and what is really the core of that problem. If the same thing keeps reoccurring, then we've obviously not addressed the core of the problem. So really focusing on things like making sure that our processes are locked in, and that they're clearly defined, and that they make sense. Making sure that everything in our shop has a place and is documented and is defined and is clearly marked, so that when our team is in the process of a job, that they're able to find the tools and the materials that they need quickly, that we're not creating roadblocks for them to do their job and accomplish their goals.
One of the challenges we face is it's easy in this business. There's more business in this industry than there is people willing to do it well. So it's easy the opportunities are there. And the question is whether you say yes or not, which is what we all want to do. And so we have continuously, I think, through the years, tried to scale or tried to take on work that was more than we were prepared. We didn't have a base layer underneath it to support that amount of work. It isn't necessarily, in my mind, the number of people. It's actually having the systems in place under those people. So we have several times, I think we've all done it at different times, is said yes to things that just we weren't ready as a business to handle. So we've had a few, you move forward and you move back, like you said, with your building. The year you moved into your building, you had a manpower shortage. So we've done that several times, and that's some of the big obstacles we've had to overcome. As far as personal is for us, it's maintaining energy and focus consistently. That all fluctuates for us all, I think. But how do you keep moving forward 15 years in, and keep, as a leader, especially? I think we've grown as leaders, but it's something you have to think about every day, and it's something we've had to work on over the years.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's just interesting. Again, you touched on like our kind of, that 3, 4, 5 years ago when we were moving in here and just had that manpower shortage, and you talked a little bit about just having the systems in place, and having basically a well-oiled machine that kind of runs itself, so you don't have to manage people so much, so they're kind of more self-sufficient. That's what we try to do in our shop, and it's just I think back over the years, we're just celebrating our 41st year in business this year, and I
Wow.
think over the years, well, that's mostly all my dad, not so much.
I was gonna say, you don't look a day
Yeah, that I can only claim too much about the last 15 years, I guess. So, but yeah, what I was gonna say is it's interesting. I think back, and we've kind of been like a roller coaster, some ups and some downs, as far as we've had a few year string where it was just really stressful, and it was a struggle coming into work every day, and it was not so much fun for the first couple of years we built this building, and we were just struggling to keep up with, oh, we need to implement these processes. Oh, we need to have this written down. And we fell far behind that. We were the type of shop that was everything is just in our heads. And then when we tried to bring in new people as we grew, there was a lot of growing pains. It hurt. It was like a kid that was 5'5" one year and 6'5" the next year in middle school or something. A lot of growing pains there. And now the last couple of years for us have been a lot more smooth sailing. We've got some employees in here that are real great additions to our team. And, it's just, we've gotten some things figured out and now we're kind of on a better path. But, it's never to say, you never know when the next storm's coming that you're going to have to sail through too. So it seems to be that little bit of up and down. And I think everybody kind of goes through that. But just a little switching gears on that. What is like a work-life balance for you guys? I know it's tough for me on my end, but I mean, are any specific things you guys are using for time management? How does that work for you? How do you guys turn on, take off your work hat and put on your personal hat, especially being you two working together all the time? It's got to be even more difficult.
We don't.
24 hours, 7 days a week, I work with this woman.
We always joke, we always tell people that, when we get in the car to go somewhere on vacation, we look at the other seat and say, oh, darn, you're coming too. It is a challenge for, being a husband and wife team, because we're never really away from the business. It's always a part of everything that we do. And every conversation that we have comes back to the business. So we really have to make a very conscious effort, especially when we're able to, to walk away and go on vacation, that, we have to be able to find time for being a couple and not business partners. And it's really difficult sometimes. We really try to, we want our team to have a good work-life balance. We want people to work a 40-hour work week and be able to, spend time with their families and do the things that they want to do and not have to, not be here 60 hours a week. So we really try to focus on that with our employees, making sure that we're giving them the tools to be efficient and to keep themselves mentally and physically capable and feeling good. And like I said, for us, we really just have to make an effort. We stopped working 7 days a week several years ago because we really needed that. We found that we just really needed that one day at least to be able to clear our heads and walk away from the day to day and from being in front of the computer screen and from being on the production floor. We just really needed that day to regroup and reevaluate. So and in terms of time management, we're getting pulled in a number of different directions all day long. It's, as business owners, as business leaders, it's what you do. We're involved in the community. We're both involved in the community, as well as, all of the things that happen during the day here at the business. So we really try to, through, again, going back to EOS, we try to focus on those primary things that we've identified have to be done to help us work towards solving issues. So we have the to-do list. It's usually 1 to 5 things, depending on what the complexity of the issue is, that we really try to make sure that that's our primary focus for the week, that those things get done. And then everything else happens around that, the phone calls, the dealing with the customers, with Chandler, he's oftentimes out in the field working with the install team or the pattern team to, and meeting with customers. So it's really challenging. There's so many balls in the air most of the time in what we do, that just really trying to stay focused on what are those really top priority things that above everything else have to get done. It's easy sometimes to say, oh, well, this is an easy thing, so I'm just going to do all the easy things. But really, you're not focused, you lose focus on what the important things are that really need to happen. So we're really trying to make an effort in terms of time management when we're here at the shop, that we're working the most efficiently and we're really tackling the things that that really are the biggest priorities.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. You guys obviously be just together all the time, basically. Me, I think
Thanks
to
for
me,
reminding us, Kyle.
Yeah.
Thanks. We're well aware.
I think to me and my dad, it's like we are both very similar and bullheaded and want our quality to be the absolute best. But sometimes we have a little bit different ideas on the path to get to that. Want to be in the same spot at the end. So yeah, we annoy each other, and I've had him go home from the shop a few times when he's annoyed with me, but like we leave at the end of the day, and sometimes we'll do dinner, or you'll meet me and my wife will sometimes meet my parents for dinner or something, or see them somewhere out. But I don't, spend the whole. Sometimes it's nice to go home and get away from my dad at the end of the
Yes.
day.
Right?
I need the weekend, so I
Yeah.
get that.
Well, and I think the other thing that we learned fairly early on was that we had to really define our roles within the business. Our area of expertise and what we were going to be focused on and responsible for. Because when we first started, we were stepping on each other's toes all over the place,
Sure,
which
yeah.
that certainly doesn't, which certainly didn't help.
No.
So, I think that's, we really have capitalized on our individual strengths and learnings, but we still butt heads.
Sure.
The shop gets really quiet sometimes.
You're a pin drop. Yeah, I think that you hit the nail on the head, though. I think the biggest thing for our industry is those couple of items you just touched on, is put your team in the position to play to their strengths is number one. And then, try to do things in a way that you're being the most efficient, using your 40 hours, or if it's more than that, use that time the best possible while you're there the most efficiently, and then go home and have a life outside of work if you can. I know we as business owners just we all want our business to be, million, 2 million, $10 million businesses if possible. But inherently, sometimes we decide, hey, I'm just going to work more and work harder and put more time into my business. But it's a difficult thing to do. It's a difficult not a difficult thing to do. It's easy to accidentally do that. I should say it's just difficult to have a life outside of that. And all of a sudden you walk too far down that path, and it's like, oh, geez, I'm pretty far from civilization behind me.
Yeah.
So
And I think the other thing as well is that we've really made an effort to take our individual interests and be able to have things that we do separately when we're at home. Chandler's an avid mountain biker and road biker. So he takes a lot of, time to just be able to do that. And that's something that I'm not doing. That I don't do. I have a Peloton and I'm good. I'm stationary. I'm happy. But he spends a lot of time doing that. I have other interests outside. I spend a lot of time running agility trials with my dog. But we make sure that we have our individual interests so that we do allow for that time apart that gives us when we come back together, it's a lot better. Mentally we're both more clear-headed.
yeah, no, I think if I'm not mistaken, I think I remember a very interesting story that's not for this podcast of Chandler's road biking ventures one morning. I'm thinking that he told me back at the MFA that definitely can't share on here. That's somebody you have to ask
Definitely
him.
not a shareable moment.
Ask him off the record sometime. But what other things are you guys into? Like other business ventures, possibly other personal things? I've known you guys long enough, but I mean, tell us a little bit more about, like, what do you do outside of work, or what do you do that's sort of like work, but a little bit of a sideshow, if you will, or something.
Oh, wow. So, I guess from a business standpoint, I mean, we're both very involved in our community. Chandler is on the board of directors for the Phoebus Partnership, which Phoebus is the town that our business is located. So he's on the board there that helps to kind of shape what happens within the community. I'm on the advisory board, our economic development advisory board for the city of Hampton. So we try to stay involved in the community. We try to, really kind of give back to the community when we can. On a personal level, like I said, Chandler's, very involved in biking and planning a big bike packing trip coming up here in the not too distant.
As soon as the business will allow it, but yeah, spring of hopefully 2024, 6-week trip through the Great Tour Divide. So hopefully we can get to that point. I like to ski, so outside activities, that kind of thing for me is a way to get away. Familiarity breeds contempt, and absence makes the heart grow fonder, right? So
Sure. Well, tell me, guys, what I'm gonna switch gears again here a little bit, talking about kind of being a member of the Advanced Textiles Association and the Marine Fabricators Association, which is under that umbrella. Tell us about your guys' experience with memberships of those, or going to events, or give me your idea of what's your most value of being involved with that.
Yeah, so we actually joined ATA and MFA back in 2005. So that was really even before Chandler was retired from the military. As soon as he kind of had a sense for wanting to be a part of the industry, that was kind of a natural place for us to be. So
I remember actually I was in New Orleans and looking at the Marine Fabricator magazine and knowing that I was moving up here to start a business in the marine canvas industry. And two of the people, there was an article on Mike Johnson and Joe Bostic with Canvas and Cushions, and I'm thinking, this is my competition. I'm in trouble, man. There's no way I can go up there and compete. And both of those people were welcoming, open. Mike and Joe both mentored us, and it's people that are, technically your direct competitors, open with knowledge. And I think that embodies what the MFA is about, is the sharing of that, and the fact that we would not be anywhere near where we are without some of the what we, I guess now is the old guard. A lot of those people aren't even there anymore, but they blazed the path of sharing and being open and helping each other and networking that we're trying to carry forward. I think that's the biggest benefit. If I had to pick one benefit for the MFA, it's the sharing of knowledge and the networking that gives you a resource to tap into that helps you grow.
Yeah. And, I think the other, one thing that really sort of endeared us to MFA and this industry, when Chandler was stationed in New Orleans, his last 2 years in the Navy, we had sailed our boat from Virginia to New Orleans, and he was living aboard the boat while he was down there. That is until Katrina hit. And, thankfully Chandler evacuated and was safe. But, at that time, cell phones were down. There was no way for me. I was in Virginia at the time, so there was really no way for me to reach him. But the first phone call that I got the day after Katrina hit was from Tom Hunter, who was a longtime MFA, ATA member, board chair, was from he and his wife. And I had no idea who these people were. I had never met anyone in the industry at this point. But he reached out. I got a phone call from him, and it basically just said, "Are you okay? Have you heard from Chandler? Is he okay? What can we do to help?" And it was just that, the fact that he, not even knowing anything about us, we didn't really technically have a business at that point, but just the fact that they reached out, he took the time to reach out and to check on me and to make sure that I was okay and that Chandler was okay, really speaks volumes to this industry and just that camaraderie and the friendships and the relationships that get built. There's so much knowledge and so much so many opportunities to learn and to grow, and everyone is so open with sharing, that really it's a, I think it's, to Chandler's, as Chandler said, it's just that is really the greatest strength of our industry.
Yeah, I think that definitely reminds me of some of the feelings I had the first couple times I came to the MFA conferences, about 10 years ago or so. And just remember walking in there and going like, oh, I remember, back where I'm from, little old Omro, a town of like 3,000, and we do some work, around our area and ways from our shop in Wisconsin. I thought, yeah, I think I'm pretty good at what I do. Like this, I think I do a good job here. And then I remember coming to there and going like, wow, there's just an amazing amount of knowledge. And I was blown away by how much people are willing to share it, like you said. And they're willing to share it. And even if you're right in their own backyard, and they just have that realization that there is enough work to go around. There's more work, like you said, than there are people willing to do it at a high level. So yeah, that's one of the coolest things I think about the MFA and ATA larger umbrella is just that camaraderie. And some of my really close friends and people I love to talk to and get a chance to chat with is people that I've met from that. So it's a really, really cool thing, I think, in my mind, for sure. Let me ask then, guys, what kind of is like the latest, greatest kind of thing that you guys are doing, different developments in your business or new techniques you might be implementing. What kind of is the new thing that's really kind of your next best thing that you're kind of into now?
So the technology side has been, and mastering it has been the probably the latest thing that we're dealing with, and enjoying. We're starting to realize some of the benefits of it. So moving that forward is probably our biggest focus from a latest greatest standpoint. We currently are using a static cutting table and the Proton ProLiner. And that whole world is moving forward, as we've seen some of the things people are doing out there with scanning and LiDAR and ProCam or Polycam. So that's a constant evolution, and I think it's hard. We're trying to maintain efficiencies and learn at the same time and grow. So that's probably the latest greatest. To be honest, the thing that we are focused on in our business at this stage, though, is leadership and a culture of improvement, core values, and the why permeating throughout from the top all the way to the bottom, so everybody's stroking on the same page. I think we're at the point where we're starting to recognize how much the leadership and building of the culture and it matters. So I would say those two things: the technology and the working with our team to grow.
Yeah, I think those are two dynamite areas to be, kind of really working on and working through. We did that same thing. I think we've had our ProLiner now about 3 or 4 years, and we have just a plotter that we know it works great. And so we're ready to go to a cutter anytime we kind of have a cutter that does exactly what we want it to do, which I think is going to be, my dad's big on a laser cutter, so we don't have to either heat knife acrylic fabrics or bind them or do something. He just wants to be able to leave that raw edge on like a cover on an inside seam or something. So yeah, I know that was our thing too. I think it's impossible almost for the efficiencies not to dip a little bit when you transition into some of that, the 3D measurement in the CAD world. It takes a little time to kind of dip your feet in and make sure you're going to swim and not sink there. So, but like you guys said, it definitely opens up the longer you do it, the more that you start to realize what you can do it and what more you can do with it, and other projects you might be able to take on, and things that might be way easier now to do because we can measure it in 3D and build it in CAD rather than having to somehow pattern it, in the like the traditional ways were. So that's what we've been seeing too, is just it's been opening our eyes to new business possibilities and just efficiencies now that we're kind of getting the hang of it. So yeah, it's a game changer for sure in many ways. That's for sure. Tell me, guys, what's some different, like some things in your business that you guys think you kind of do differently, or maybe it's just your, I know one of the big things is you guys do a ton of military type of stuff, but what do you do differently in your business than you think other businesses after you've talked to other folks in the MFA ATA world?
I don't know. I think like I said, our mix is a little bit different. We're not strictly recreational boating. We do a combination of both repeatable, ongoing things, more production oriented. So, all of Busch Gardens work is very production oriented. It's very repeatable. A lot of our military stuff is very repeatable. So once we get the initial patterns, the initial templates, then it becomes kind of plug and play, if you will. We need this quantity of this thing, and we can produce those. But then we have the other side of our business that is still very customized, and it's very one-off, individual by the customer. So there's a lot of that. I think in terms of how we go about our training with our team is, we're finding that that's something that for us is continuing to evolve, but it's something that a lot of businesses don't have that type of a structure in place for training and evolving their team. I don't know, Jalen, what else would you say? You've touched on a lot of our.
I think that we are trying to, I guess I keep hitting this, but we're trying to build the systems that will empower our people to succeed, but still retain the knowledge corporately, rather than so it's simple to say investing in your people, which we are doing, but I think we're trying to build the system. So like you said, if somebody's out for a couple of months, that you can as easily as possible plug and play. So we're trying to build the corporate knowledge around the systems in place that'll give the people, the ability to grow themselves, and also make it easy to train somebody else.
Yeah, I think like you said, you've touched on that a few times, but someone that's going to listen to this podcast is going to hear a few, common themes here, and they can see what's really important to you guys and what's pushing your business forward, and what's the driving factor of, some of your growth. Yeah, like you said, Chandler, I think it's just like our businesses all want to get to like a custom assembly line, I'll call it, Henry Ford's assembly line, but a custom version. So, and I know in our business, we have our sewers doing the sewing. We have, these people doing this and these people doing that, and they all kind of specialize in certain areas. And there is some overlap. So we all do have that. If someone's out, if someone's sick, we can kind of, pull weight for them somewhere here and there. So that's just, it's kind of that playing to everybody's strengths, I guess, like we were mentioning before. So.
Sorry, I think the other part of it is, we say we do custom versus production, but the reality is that the end product may be custom, but all of the things that go into making that and putting that together, everyone that comes to, getting back to the training aspect, everybody that works for us starts at an apprentice level, regardless of how much experience they have. And from our sewers, that's their opportunity. They learn all of our hems, all of our seams, all of the different techniques that go into building our products. And that in that way, it allows us to make sure that regardless of whether they're, doing a small helm cover or a full boat cover, the size is different, but the techniques and and what goes into it are the same, for the most part. So we want them to have a comfort level with all of those things before they actually start sewing onto actual products. And it also allows us as business owners to make sure that the quality is being maintained, that, if we have two people sewing an enclosure that goes on a large sport fish, that regardless of who sewed which enclosure panel, that the two, when they come together, there's no differentiation. Everything comes together the way it's supposed to. It looks identical. So, that's something that we really try to focus on, is that that element of the, the basics and the skills and the techniques that go into everything that we do.
Yeah, so it's making a bunch of standardizations within your custom piece, I guess. Yeah, that
Yeah.
that part where you were saying, having two different sewers sewing different panels and making sure they look the same when they come together just made me think of something where my dad will go down to a marina. We'll be somewhere if we visit Florida or something. He'll be looking at a boat that he thinks is really ugly, and he'll say it looks like one designer started in the front, one designer started in the back, and they met in the middle somewhere.
Right.
he likes to. That's always something I always get a kick out of. Hey, I got a quick little follow-up question to that. Then, just a little bit more on some of that military contract type of stuff that you guys do, or more of the repeatable, maybe less a little bit custom stuff where it's repeatable. Have you guys found that the repeatable type of a thing has been a game changer, like and a huge addition to your business, or is it more of it's more of just like a baseline and a filler, and it's sort of a baseline for us that's comfortable that we can do, or is it really kind of a huge kind of like, hey, this is making us a ton of profit, this has been just a game changer for us?
Yes.
Yeah.
To answer all of the questions, yes. It is, with something like Busch Gardens, we've been working with Busch Gardens for over 10 years now. That is consistent business. That is business that we know, at the end of every year, we're going to get a ton of bride seats and headrests and things that need to be recovered and redone for their opening in the spring. It's consistent work. It's profitable work. With the military, as we're getting more involved with that, it is quickly becoming very profitable work as well. And because it's repeatable, once we have something, if we don't have to go, especially with the military, they know what the price is already. It's in the system. So if we don't have to go out and repattern something, recad it, if we can eliminate that whole chunk of time and still charge the same thing and reproduce the same product, then it is very profitable work for us. It's sometimes a balance because their time frames are very short to fit those things within, commitments that we've already made to our clients that we're doing custom work for. But yeah, I think, overall it's been very profitable work.
Awesome. Yeah, cool. Well, let me we're kind of going to run out of time here. I think we could talk forever, but I do want to touch on one last question here. One thing we struggled with is, the 2008 economy downturn. And it sounds like you guys started right at about that time. So you were starting in it, you didn't really go through it as much, but one thing that you did go through is the pandemic that we had recently. Tell us about how your business was impacted, for better or for worse, or, how are you guys recovering and changing, after the fact, given after that pandemic?
Yeah. So when we started in 2008, we figured, hey, we have nowhere to go but up. The pandemic was, like everyone, it was a challenge for our business. We were fortunate that we did not have mandatory closures. But we quickly decided that we needed to make ourselves an essential business, to make sure that if that happened, we were protected. So, like a lot of people in the industry, we transitioned to making masks. Thankfully, we're in a heavy military area. So, we were able, and with Chandler's, contacts, we were able to get quite a few of the commands, really from Virginia to Florida, that needed masks for deployments, that they just needed them very, very quickly, to keep the military up and running. So we were able to really shift. We hired 15 temporary employees that was all they did was make masks for us. But as soon as we could transition out of that, we did. And we didn't have our whole team dedicated to doing masks. We really hired these temporary employees and then kept most of our regular full-time people working on our custom work and our regular work. So Thankfully we came through the pandemic fairly efficiently, and relatively unscathed.
Oh, cool. Well, it's been a pleasure to get know a little bit more about you guys today and kind of give a snapshot of your business to the folks that are going to tune in and listen to this. So I want to thank both of you guys for coming on today and being guests on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you. This was fun.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of ATA Talking Textiles. ATA is a not-for-profit association representing the international specialty fabrics marketplace. Learn more about events, workshops, and webinars that ATA hosts throughout the year at textiles.org/events.